Trump or DeSantis? Who do you support? What's going to happen? How do I know what's going to happen? I don't have the foggiest idea. Ron DeSantis was sworn in for a second term as governor, America's governor, and everybody knows that he truly is presidential material. In many ways, he's the president in waiting. Who knows? We'll see. Many years ago, Adam Laxalt told me, it was 2012, he introduced me to Ron DeSantis. Not so much in person, but introduced me to this individual named Ron DeSantis. It was a crowded Republican primary for a congressional seat in Florida. And I didn't know Ron DeSantis or anybody else, but Adam Laxalt had been a roommate, I think they were in the Navy together, something like that, of Ron DeSantis's. And I learned about him, and I endorsed him. Ed Meese, my mentor, endorsed him. And that's not why, but he won the Republican primary and won that seat. And then I watched him in the House of Representatives, where even as a freshman, he was a real leader. I don't mean just a bomb thrower, which is fine by me in many instances, by the way. He really was able to move the ball. He was able to use a subcommittee to promote various conservative agenda items and so forth. So he wasn't just talk, he was action. And then he decided to run for governor of Florida, which is a remarkable thing when you're a congressman. You know, it wasn't really considered a possible trajectory. And he was running against a fairly popular moderate Republican who was the agricultural secretary of the entire state of Florida and gotten a lot of publicity. So Ron's name ID wasn't that great. Then he was endorsed, of course, at some point by President Trump, which was clearly helpful. I endorsed him. Hannity endorsed him. I went down there and actually campaigned for him. He has appointed fantastic individuals to the Supreme Court in Florida. He's made huge differences down there. And he once told me, and I don't know if I'm supposed to mention this, but I will, just for the fun of it. He once told me that he was interviewing various candidates for the Supreme Court or other positions. I think it was the court. And one of the individuals he had talked to had been reading my book, Men in Black. And he said, as soon as the guy said that that was one of his favorite books, I wrote about the Supreme Court of the United States and so forth, he knew that the man had the credentials. And that person, whose name I don't know, is apparently a justice on the Supreme Court of Florida. Perfect. Anyway, Ron DeSantis is the real deal. And I just wanted to play a few minutes for those of us who weren't at the inauguration of his swearing-in speech, just a few minutes. Now, I was invited. My wife was invited. Other family members were able to attend. I was not able to attend, unfortunately. I mean, I could have taken another day off, but I felt I had taken enough time. I wanted to get back to the microphone, back to radio and TV. And so we had members representing us there, and said it was fantastic. So let's take a look again. It's just a short clip. Go.
Mr. Chief Justice, members of the cabinet, and fellow citizens, from the Space Coast to the Sun Coast, from St. John's to St. Lucie, from the streets of Hialeah to the Speedway in Daytona, from the Okeechobee all the way up to Micanopy, freedom lives here in our great sunshine state of Florida. It lives in the courage of those who patrol the streets and who keep our communities safe. It lives in the industry of those who work long hours to earn a living and raise their families. It lives in the dedication of those who teach our children. It lives in the determination of those who grow our food. It lives in the wisdom of our senior citizens. It lives in the dreams of the historic number of families who have moved from states across this country because they saw Florida as the land of liberty and the land of sanity. Over the past few years, as so many states in our country grinded their citizens down, we in Florida lifted our people up. When other states consigned their people's freedom to the dustbin, Florida stood strongly as freedom's linchpin. When the world lost its mind, when common sense suddenly became an uncommon virtue, Florida was a refuge of sanity, a citadel of freedom for our fellow Americans and even for people around the world. In captaining the ship of state, we choose to navigate the boisterous sea of liberty rather than cower in the calm docks of despotism. We face attacks, we take hits, but we weather the storms, we stand our ground, and we do what's right. As the book of Psalms reminds us, I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me on every side. We have refused to use polls and to put our finger in the wind. Leaders do not follow, they lead. We have articulated a vision for a free and prosperous state. We have, through persistence and hard work, executed on that vision. We have produced favorable results. And now we are here today because the people of Florida have validated our efforts in record fashion. Florida shows that results matter. We lead not by mere words, but by deeds. 4 years ago, we promised to pursue a bold agenda. We did just that, and we have produced results. We said we would ensure that Florida taxed lightly, regulated reasonably, and spent conservatively, and we delivered. We promised we would enact big education reforms, and we delivered. We said we would end judicial activism by appointing jurists who understand the proper role of a judge is to apply the law as written, not legislate from the bench, and we delivered. We promised to usher in a new era of stewardship for Florida's natural resources by promoting water quality and Everglades restoration efforts, and we delivered. We said we would stand for law and order and support the men and women of law enforcement, and we delivered.
And you want to hear more of that, don't you? It's just a fantastic speech. You can see how intelligent the man is, what kind of common sense he has, what he's done for the state of Florida. And that's why he's really the talk of the nation as a possible president. Now, people ask me everywhere I go, Trump or DeSantis, Trump or DeSantis, who do you support? What's going to happen? How do I know what's going to happen? I don't have the foggiest idea. I think DeSantis would be a fabulous candidate and president. And I think Trump was a fabulous president and candidate. So this isn't for me to decide. Sometimes I have to watch too and make determinations on my own. But that said, this guy is a fantastic governor. He was a fantastic congressman, and he'd be a fantastic president.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.